Hey, this is Alessio coming at you before today's episode, and I just wanted to say thank you, and this episode is sponsored by Sam Lemke. If you want to be cool and you want to be like Sam, just join our Patreon, patreon.com/Metal Gear Mondays, and subscribe at the $10 plus tier. Not only do you get cool sponsored shout outs at the top of the episode, but you also get access to video episodes of the show, Patriot Club, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast, video episodes of that, and even more things. So, we appreciate all of your support. And again, this episode is brought to you by Sam Lemke. Thank you for your support. Enjoy.
You're listening to Metal Gear Mondays, the greatest Metal Gear podcast ever.
I don't agree with you.
Releasing on Monday, every Monday.
How did you patch into my radio frequency?
Stinks in here. Bad.
Ladies, gearsmen, babies, and gentlethems, you're listening to Metal Gear Mondays. I would say the most thorough Metal Gear podcast on the internet, but in the interim and our absence, some sons of bitches decided to pick up arms and start their own shows. We'll show them. Gosh darn it. Anyway, coming at you live. No, I'm kidding. Pre-recorded is Alessio Summerfield, and I'm joined by Liliana Wright.
And the intercontinental ballistic Liliana Wright.
I love it. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I never went by a nickname, but it is so difficult for me to like nickname people. I don't know if you notice, but like I always say your full first name. Like Lily never comes organically.
It's always Liliana. You always say, which is fine. Like I'm not upset about that.
Yeah.
I'm not upset about that. That is my name.
Yeah.
So I kind of enjoy this, like every episode having like a little bit of tidbit about like the trans journey that I'm going through at the moment. In my past life, I went by Sam because I didn't like Samuel as a shortening, and so I would always introduce myself as Sam. But like I like the name Liliana. I also like Lily as a little nickname. So it's like at this point, like call me either one of those. Never Lil.
I love that. But yeah, anyway, I feel like this is gonna be a nice short intro because this interview fucking speaks for itself in volumes. I was real nervous going into this, and I think it I don't know, the anxiety was getting the best of me. But boy, oh boy, did she grab me by the shoulders and shake that fucking spirit out of my soul. Debra Wilson, good lord. Such a good interview.
What a powerhouse of a human being.
Just all around.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, we won't belabor the point, I suppose. So before we dive into it really, really quickly, I'll just say, if you like the show, please consider telling a friend, sharing on whatever social platforms you use, leaving us a review. Reviews make a huge difference, especially now that we have to be elbow to elbow with these other motherfuckers out here.
He's got the energy. He's carrying a vibe today. You got fucking. You talked to Debra Wilson. You changed.
I know.
You changed, man. What happened to my friend?
But yeah, anyway, reviews help a ton. Just as Death Stranding 2 is coming out, it's really going to help raise visibility. If you like the show, you can give us money, patreon.com/Metal Gear Mondays. For the folks giving $10 plus for the video side, you're in for a treat.
Yeah,
there is quite a lot that is visual, not in a way that's going to make the episode impossible to listen to, but it'll be a fuller experience.
You'll literally see momentarily.
Yes, correct. But for everyone else, $1 gets you access to the Discord, a couple Patreon posts here and there. I just posted clean audio of our theme song and the Patriot Club theme song for all paying members, for instance. $5 plus gets you Patriot Club, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast once a month. And for $10 plus, you get video podcasts of the main feed as well as new edition video podcasts of the Patriot Club. Liliana, where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet. All of the stuff you need to know is at Liliana Dawn on Linktree. So it's Linktree/Liliana Dawn. You can go there. I've got links to my books. I've got links to my social media. And if you're feeling so inclined, I've got linked to my Steam wish list at the very top. I don't know. Could be the move.
Never heard that one before. That's great.
No, that's a new one. That's a new one.
I
I'm being shameless about it.
Yeah.
I got a Steam Deck and I lost my mind.
Keeping me on my feet. And for me, it's AlessioSummerfield.com, ALESSIO, for the first time in 7 years. I guess maybe the second or third time I'm spelling my name, because it dawned on me I get a lot of ALLs. I get a lot of, I don't know, other shit. But anyway, Alessio.com, AlessioSummerfield.com, excuse me. And then you can find at Alessio Made That on like Blue Sky, Instagram, yada yada yada. Cool. Well, fuck. With no further ado, this is what I was going to say originally, so I'll just say it really quickly. Quote: chances are, if you've seen a movie, TV show, or played a video game in the past 3 decades, you've heard her voice. She's a born and raised New Yorker. Shout out to Queens. The first Black woman to voice Daisy Duck, and an all-around badass. Please welcome Debra Wilson. Hey.
Good morning and good afternoon. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. This is great. This is awesome.
Yeah, right on. Let's do this.
Actually, legitimately, one of the things that I love about you are your tattoos, and like how put together, and like kind of like how much of a canvas they are. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about that a little bit, as far as like where did you get the ideas for them, and like do you plan them out, or do they just kind of like come to you? Like, where does that come from?
Spirituality. Spirit speaks to me all the time about things. I mean, I don't want to put anything on my body that doesn't make sense to me, and that doesn't speak to me, and that doesn't speak to others. Because you're putting it on your body. For me, my philosophy is, if I'm putting on my body, I'm sharing it with the world. And I want to say something about the world, or something that someone can connect to through everything that I'm choosing for myself as an expression. And there is nothing under the sun that has not been created that was not meant for everyone, including our own self-expression. That's how we find each other. That's how we create tribes. And that's how people feel like they are not alone, and that they can continue to matriculate and find themselves, grow themselves, better know themselves, and connect to their purpose with somebody else's. That's a powerful intimacy, and it's a powerful public thing as well. And for me, I have got like 6 lotuses on my body. I've got Japanese work on my body. I've got Celtic work on my body. I've got American work on my body. Old school work on my body. I've got tribal work on my body. And all of them mean something to me. All of them have drawn me to something greater than myself. I've got Sacred Hearts on my body. I've got Tree of Life on my body. I've got ravens on my body, because it's one of my, ravens are such an animal totem for me. And then there are other flames on my body, just because they're fucking badass. There are other things. No, they're badass. And I said I would never get my hands done. And then my goddaughter, who is like my daughter to me, got her hands done, and they were just so badass. And I was like, ugh, I'm getting
Gotta do it. Gotta do
I want it, because I like the aesthetic of where it is. And I loved the aesthetic of neck tattoos. But initially I'd seen so many that were just here and here. Mm-hmm. And I went, I would never do my neck. I would never do my neck. And then I went, full out.
Yeah.
On my neck. I went full out on my neck. My goddaughter got it done. And then I've seen so many women, and I was told the throat is very painful, but I have such a high threshold for someone so small. I have a high threshold for pain. And I've never used numbing cream or anything like that. The hands are one of the most painful places, and I got it done 4 times. Because each time I'll say eclectically, I want to blend these things. So add this, and could you add this, and can we do that, and can we do more of that? And so I've had a number of artists who did things, and a number of artists who came in and saw the canvas as it was by other artists and said, I'm going to add this, and each time I knew exactly what I wanted. each time I can see it in my third eye. And so I never got anything haphazardly. But then again, by the time I started getting tattoos, I was already in my mid-20s. I was 25 when I got my first tattoo, so I wasn't a kid. And so I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how, for my personality and for many personalities of people, I did not realize how addictive it would be. And I was told by the first tattoo artist I went to that I have an addictive personality to them and that I would be back in 2 weeks. And I was back in 2 weeks. And I asked him why. Big Joe Kaplan, who has passed on, but for those people who are really tattoo aficionados of old school, they will know who Big Joe Kaplan is. And I said, how did you know? He said, because the tattoo I gave you was so small, it wouldn't be enough, number one. And number two, it healed within 2 weeks and you would Jones for more. So I wasn't jonesing for pain, but I was jonesing for what can I add to that? I'm such a right brain dominant person because I'm left-handed that I can continue to see negative space. Okay, but what else? Let's fill in that. Let's fill in that. Let's fill in that. And I'm talking a decade later, I may decide to fill in something. So I had Japanese wind bars that I've had for over a decade. And one day, not too long ago, in fact, a couple of months ago, I went, you know what? What if I filled them in with orange? And it felt like they were always there. So all of this was filled, was clear, because in Japanese work, you don't fill that out with color. It's
right.
white and it's shaded gray. And that's what it was. But I also had this bright sun and I also had this bright lotus. And I also had all of this orange and red in my roses. And I was like, well, what if I added orange to these wind bars? And it made all the difference in the world. It made all the difference in the world. And so, then finally doing my parents' names on my hands, my father, Abe, my mother, Dorothy, my mom was left-handed. So that's why it's on my left hand. And then I went back and said, well, that's not enough. What if I added stars around my hands, just around the design, which was just around the design. And I'm like, well, what if we go full-fledged? And then what if I add stars there, but my hands are so old and wrinkly? They are. I got hands. I got hands like a runaway slave. So I got hands like Harriet Tubman. I'm not fucking around. So I said, well, what if, because the stars, you're never going to get the accuracy of it, no matter how much you try. What if we do black bars, just black, solid black bars? And I was like, yeah, when I cross my fingers, I like that look. I like the look of the side, as solid as you can get it. They don't last as long, but it was cool. I thought it was just badass to have black bars, when I'm just doing stuff like this. I love the look of it. I love the aesthetics of stuff too, when it comes to that, and filling in colors and seeing where, if I add that to it, and every time something has been enhanced by another artist or just added color to it, it's made all the difference in the world to it. And it makes me love my body art that much more. I still have one more. I was looking at mine because I'm 100% covered in terms of body art. From my neck to the back of my ears.
Holy shit.
My whole body is covered. My chest is completely covered, including my areolas. Everything.
That's dedication.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
Yeah. My entire body is covered. So there isn't a place that hasn't been covered other than the top of my head. And my crown chakra is very important. So I don't think I'll ever do anything. Although I have to think about things on the side.
Okay.
I have the back of my ears done. So I have been thinking about this because I'm always rocking a shaved head. So
you kill the full body look, and I adore that you've got like killer fucking stories for every single piece.
All of it, but you can see the wind bars on my breast. I'm not going to show you all of it, but you can see that there are wind bars on my breast, and everything is covered. All of it. So,
that is so cool. Would you say, like, at this point it's kind of evolved? Do you still have a favorite one, or is it kind of like all encompassing at this point?
I never have
kind of just.
I really never do. Why? Because each experience has its own space. And you can tell a story about that space, and you have a relationship with that thing. So I have a relationship with all of them. So to call one a favorite is like saying I diminish the other things. I put you in a hierarchy. And I don't want to put my body art in a hierarchy, because the whole point is everything that's been added together makes one body piece, as 100%. Opposed to different pieces. So I love all my art. I love my legs. I love my Polynesian style legs. You can't really see them, but yeah, you can.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
And then
That's
I asked to add the orange in the back and in the
It
front.
looks great. You are
So,
incredibly
and it's
flexible.
Polynesian style, so it's not actually Polynesian, but I wanted the concept of it.
That's so cool. That's
yeah,
incredible.
thank you. And then my death's head moths, which are like more like butterflies, and just it's really hard to see them all, but
No, they look great.
yeah,
Raise them.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, but
So
yeah,
you love all your children the same.
I love all my that I hold for my cats, and then all of this is Japanese in there, wind bars, and then I have dragons, and koi fish on the back of my leg are
nice.
my Chinese dragons, and then on the front are the koi fish. And all here is all waterfall, all Japanese waterfalls. And then under my arms, I had cherry blossoms fall into the waterfalls.
Oh, wow. Holy hell.
Very cool.
That's crazy.
That is very cool.
Yeah, and
considering how much
stuff, because I have the Maori Koru symbols and stuff. So yeah, and the flames are just because they're badass.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so this is tribal and concept. And this is actually Koru, so that they kind of put the two styles together.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's
in
amazing.
general.
Jeez.
Considering how much Japanese art you've got on you, have you been to Japan?
No, I've never been to Japan.
Oh, damn. That's surprising, but
Not really,
I love
because
the
it's
work.
like saying, I eat a lot of Danish. Have you ever been to Denmark?
That's fair. That's fair.
I eat a lot of pasta. Have you ever been to Italy? So you must eat. If you eat a lot of pasta, you must be in Italy. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
True. That's true.
Well, shit. I don't even know how to follow that up. Well, considering you love all your tattoo children the same, and you earlier told me you have a ton of reptiles, do you love all your pet children the same? And can we hear a little bit more about those?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like saying, how do you if you had actually human children, how do you say, oh, that one's my favorite? Everyone has a different personality. They grow up differently. The one that could be the coolest kid when they were a kid could turn out to be the drug addict in the future. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't have favorites of things, and I attempt also in my life not to have favorites of things, because I want to have an experience of it and enjoy the experience, the individual experience for what it is.
100%.
And not judge the experience, because in order to have a favorite, you've got to judge it. You've got to judge the things that are lesser.
Right.
To say why this is better. And I want to move through this world a bit more spiritually practical in terms of not judging.
Right.
And that is a category, having favorites is a category of a judgment in my opinion. And so I love them differently because they're all different. I have an Aki monitor from Australia. I have an Indonesian blue tongue skink from obviously Indonesia. But I also have odd-chin skinks from Indonesia. And I have African fire skinks. I have ocellated skinks they are from more drier regions, but they can be found all over the world, in drier regions and in humid regions, like the Mediterranean, for one, you know. So, and I love my ocellated skinks. I have a Mexican black king snake. I love my Mexican black king snake.
Wow.
I'm getting a Euromastix this summer. I'm getting an ornate Euromastix. And I'm fascinated because I've never had one. And I've had a number of snakes as well. And I also have a Colombian tegu lizard, who is just the love of my life. She's wild. She can't be held by anybody else. She won't let anybody else touch her. She barely lets me touch her. But she was taken back to a store because they just couldn't handle her. And I had previously had a tegu, a Colombian tegu, a black and white, which grows a little bit bigger than the golden tegus. They're kind of the dwarf size of the tegu, which makes her easier to handle. So her enclosure is only 6 feet, and I had the room for a 6-foot enclosure. All of it, you'll notice, all of my spaces have enclosures all over the place. I don't own a television set. I only listen to the radio. So, and yes, I have an old-fashioned kind of 60s looking radio, and I love it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Love that. That's amazing.
And so I also love the hobby of building out my enclosures. I build out my enclosures as well. Um, the exterior is made, the enclosure itself, they're all custom pieces. And so when you walk into my place, instead of me looking like a crazy lizard lady, it looks aesthetically like, okay, these are, you can look into the window of an environment that this animal comes from, and can imagine what it's like to be out in the wild with them in that regard.
Holy shit.
And my
That's
Colombian
crazy.
tegu lizard is my Colombian golden tegu is. She was returned to a store because people know how to handle her, because they tend to be the most aggressive of the tegu species. Even though they're the smallest, they tend to be the most aggressive. And I had a tegu lizard before and surrendered my tegu because I still didn't know enough about them and what I was doing, even though I raised him from a baby. And it was heartbreaking, but it was a responsible decision. And then it came full circle to have her, because I finally knew what I was doing and I finally had the space.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how aggressive she was. I had to learn my personality all over again to allow her to have hers, instead of trying to tame her. You can't tame them. Number one. And number two, you one day you'll get bitten, you'll get scratched, you'll get whipped by the tail. Something will happen eventually. It's just waiting to happen. However, it's been 2 years, going on 2 years, and I may wrestle with her to get her once she's out of the enclosure. I let her jump out because trying to wrestle her inside just knocks everything all over the place. And it's a struggle every time I take her out, every single time, because that's how they are. And you can feed them in their enclosure, but then they become aggressive because they expect food every time, and your hand is not going to be any different. So I let her jump out. Then I wrestle her while she's on the carpet. And I hold her up to me because they're very intelligent and they will test you like a dog. And so I hold her up to me, and then I let her lick me, and then she knows I'm mommy, and then I kiss her all over. And then when I take her to the tub, I hold her up to the mirror so she can see the both of us. That's how intelligent they are. When they look, they'll see the two of you together. They'll look at themselves. They don't think it's another animal. They're smart that it's them, and they'll see, and then I'll kiss her, and then I have fleecy time with her, fleecy time. And I said, I discovered all these things because I said, you can't do anything. People gave them back because they said this animal doesn't fit my personality anymore, or they and I realized that I have to fit hers.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make a commitment, you have to fit theirs. And so I put on a fleece hoodie. I get in the tub after I fed her. She runs around trying to get the fuck out, all scratched up like I used to. And then when she tires herself out, I put her in the kangaroo pocket of my fleece hoodie, and then I lift it up. I roll it up as if it's a hammock.
Oh, wow.
And then she just relaxes. Anytime she's covered with a blanket, she relaxes. And this way I can stroke her and rub her. I can sit on my recliner with her for a bit. And then I unwrap it and then let her climb out the pocket and go in. So that's our routine. And the one thing I notice is that even if I do feed her, like insects, if I just toss in some insects, hornworms or crickets every now and then, and she goes for them, if I go in to clean her enclosure, and I'm in her enclosure every single day, which is routine with all of them, she never goes for me. She walks the other way, she runs the other way.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and she'll let me rub her and pet her and all of that while she's in her enclosure, when she wants, because she's not aggressive in terms of attacking me. She's aggressive in terms of I got to get her the fuck away from you, leave me alone, which is par for the course of recognizing that she is not aggressive in terms of attack.
Right.
And so that makes it easy to realize that you must be scared. You don't enjoy it. So I can't imagine a human being walking out into the world not enjoying it, who's claustrophobic, who's agoraphobic, all of those things. And so I liken her to that. And I have a special bond with her because it took time to have that bond. It took 3 people in the store to feed her. So,
But one Deborah.
But one,
one Deborah.
You're the equivalent of 3.
The store owner, who happens to be a friend of mine, said, "You're going to bond with this animal. I'll give you 3 months." It was 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
2 weeks, because I was wearing gloves because she didn't know me. And what they do is when they are juveniles, they'll charge at you. She used to charge the glass and stare. and be a staring contest. Yeah, and head full on, bam,
Oh my God.
and stare at me and breathe. And
That
then
would freak me
finally,
out.
and I was very intimidated. And I was like, Deborah, you're too late now.
You did it. You're in it.
You're in it to win it. You done spent 6 months getting a 6-foot custom-made enclosure.
Yeah.
Professionally.
better get right with
done. You're just too late. And I just finally, what I said, you got to show her who's boss, and then love her and let her be her. And I smacked the glass one day, and I was like, "Fucking bitch, I'll kill you. I'll make you into one fucking boot. I'll make you into one fucking boot big enough to be to a set. I'll make you into a half a fucking belt. How do you like it? How do you like it?" And then what she did, interestingly, and I had to get my
Yeah.
and I'm talking to bitch, I'll fuck you up. What did you do? Feed you. Bitch, I got you right under the I've had this enclosure. How much this enclosure made? Would you like to see the bills, bitch? Want to see the receipt? And then she stared at me, tilted her head to the side and lay down and just kept listening.
That's crazy.
And I went,
I'm surprised she's still alive. I'd be fucking
and there
dead
are
if she
times
talked
when
to me
I'll be
like
sitting
that.
on my recliner and I'll just be in prayer and meditation or quiet, and then she'll come out and I'll see her eyes look up over and stare at me. So that, she recognized you. The tegu lizards are extremely intelligent, just like Aki monitors from Australia. They're extremely intelligent, and you have to bond with them, and they have to accept that bond. They have to accept it on their terms, and that's humbling. And that's really allowing yourself to be accepted by an animal instead of buying one thinking that you own it. I don't own any animal. I'm their guardians. I'm not their owner.
Right on. Oh my God. You might be the healthiest and most badass human being I've ever spoken to. So I need to run down the speed list real quick. Have you killed a man? Do you own a muscle car?
I tried.
Tried. Okay. That's important.
But that wasn't
that's
a man,
important.
it was a woman, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Close.
That's crazy.
She don't count.
Still works.
Did you get into voice work by kicking in a studio door and just threatening everybody?
You know what? It wouldn't have worked. It would not have worked. But no, because it really came from, as a kid, here's the deal. I never wanted to do voiceover. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I never wanted to professionally act. I never wanted to professionally do comedy. I didn't want any of that. It wasn't a goal for me. Until stuff happened, and it was like, do I want to take this seriously? Because most people say, you trip up, you trip into something, and that's exactly what happened. It was, I never accepted the fate until I allowed it. I just allowed it. In other words, I don't go, okay, well, I'm going to do this. Then it was like, okay, I'm allowing these things to happen. I'm accepting that these things happen. And as these things happen, then I will continue to say yes with trepidation, as opposed to this is what I really want. Because all the things I wanted, I was already doing because it was joyful. I remember my neighbor who lived across the street from me in New York had a music studio down in his basement. And I would see commercials and I'd be like, I could do that. Or I'd hear radio commercials and go, I could do that. I can do that. So I would find these adverts in magazines, and then I would read them in that style that person did. And I would say, oh, but they have music to them. So Joey, would you mind putting music to the background of that? And I would have it on a cassette tape. Once it was done, that was it. I had no intention because it was like, I accomplished that.
Yeah.
So there was no desire to see it, spring into a career at all.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. That was early voiceover. And then once I got Mad TV, I was doing a lot of voiceover anyway.
Right.
So for all their parody commercials, a lot of times I did that. Plus I also sang. And because I sang, I was doing the jingles and things like that. And because of the jingles, I was doing the music for like playing Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. And I could hit those high notes like Mariah at the time.
Which is super impressive, by the way.
Thank you. And absolutely. So it's all of those things. And then they started doubling me. So it was, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey in the same video. It was Eve and Alicia Keys in the same video. So I've done a couple of those things like that. And it was Mariah Carey with her alter ego at one point doing a parody of one of her songs from an album. And so it was a lot of fun. And I found myself doing that. Plus with Mad TV, of course, and any improv and sketch, which I came up doing in New York, improv and sketch for a long time, was character work.
Yeah.
And obviously you're using not just your body, but your voice. And so all of those things came naturally to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was not working nearly as much in on camera, I was just allowing myself to find a space of being still in my life. Mm-hmm. And that was a challenging thing because I was still working on me.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that was a challenging thing. I was losing my home. I was losing my
God.
I was not working. And so all of those things to me equated to failure because I had allowed myself to get caught up in that wheel of this is who you are.
Right.
So now in your personal life, if you get married, then you are a wife. And if you buy property, then you are a homeowner. So I got caught up in those things, and all of those things started to be sand in my hand. The only equation was you are a failure. And so having those things stripped from me, having those things taken from me, I realized that the control is your joy. And you don't need anything for those joys. So if you release them, it doesn't matter whether they're taken away because now you're giving yourself permission to activate the release of them as opposed to hold on to things that are being taken away. And once I did that, the joy was greater in the wealth than the material things that were given away. You feel me? You understand?
Yeah.
And so when that wealth happens, the universe undoubtedly shows you what that wealth looks like and how it's going to show up instead of you trying to work for it, instead of you trying to manipulate your life around it to get that thing back.
Right.
And so I just sat still in my joy. And the first things that came to me was James Cameron specifically asking me to join the motion capture troupe for the first Avatar.
Holy shit.
Okay.
The next thing that came to me was Cunningham, Escott, Slevin, Doherty Talent Agency, CESD, signing me to do voiceover work.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Based on a baby voice. Paul Doherty, the head of CESD, is the D in CESD.
Yeah.
A friend of mine named J. Keith Van Straten, who is with also CESD, was doing a show. And he said, would you come and be a part of it? And I said, sure. No money involved. I never asked for anything. And part of that power, just as an aside, power of doing something for the joy, or doing something to be a part of something greater than yourself, doing something for the art of it that requires no money has allowed me to be able to not care about it.
Right.
And do things for the joy of it.
Yeah.
And so I did that for the joy of it. And at one point, because it was based on an old series called What's My Line, there's a whiteboard and it has a frame around it. And there's somebody behind it. They sign a name there. And then once that name is signed and that portion of the show is over, they pull it up from behind and it looks like it disappears. And it looks like a magic trick, like peekaboo. And because I do baby voices, I did this baby laugh. Like, oh, wow, it's a magic trick. And I did joyful baby thing. And I also do joyful baby things with Baby Fist So Fun.
Oh, nice.
Baby
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
They're happy.
Yep.
Happy or silly
Totally
about
forgot about
something. I do my baby voice and it's Baby Fist So Fun. And in the audience was Paul Doherty. He asked J. Keith Van Straten, what else does she do? Would she be willing to take a meeting? J. Keith Van Straten introduced me to Paul Doherty. I came in, all the agents were there, and my mind never went to, wow, I could have a voiceover career. Wow. All it went to was all the joy, because again, I have nothing to lose.
Right.
I'm not holding on to an expectation. And that was par for the course of my spiritual learning and my growth from all those other things. But you can't grow until you release the things that are distractions in your lives, even though you think they're fundamental to your life. And so I went in, and all I could remember is how my parents would always ask me to do the Diet Right soda commercial for their friends, because it was a woman at the time who had a British accent. I was somewhere between 5 and 7, and I wanted to perfect a British accent the way she did it. And I did.
That's crazy.
And so that's not what's crazy. What's crazy is telling people that you're British and your parents adopted you because your parents died in a car crash, which is what I did. I needed to get my ass for that, and they did. Because I was in a store and I walked up to 2 white people but doing a British accent. And
it's even more
because I was British, and I had to have a reason why these 2 black parents who are American are raising because my parents died.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
especially walking up to white people.
I got my
think
hands
especially
real hard walking away.
Yeah,
I got my hands real hard. I'm surprised I didn't break up. I had no bones in my finger were broken as a child. But yeah, so that's the other thing. So I would do the commercial and leave. So here I am in front of these agents, and my only thing was I'm having fun. That's all it is. So it wasn't even a meeting. I never even sat back and let them talk. I never listened. I was like, okay, wait a minute, watch this. Okay. Dog barking in the distance. Dog barking in the distance.
And that's really good.
That's phenomenal.
And then the baby laugh, and I did the baby being born, and then I did. I didn't do at the time. I didn't do baby turning into Britney Spears, because I do baby turning into Britney Spears too. And all that silly stuff, and it was fun. And that day, that's before. That's when most agencies had recording booths, and they still do. That's when they were like, you know what? Let's put you in a recording booth now, and we're going to give you some copy. And that's when they started sending me out. They started sending me out even before I signed a contract. So, and because it was just this joy, it was just this silliness. And I said, part of my purpose here is to make you proud and have fun. Because it was that family, my parent thing again. Make them proud and have fun and do these things. And I said, I want to be if you bring me on, I just want to be an asset and have fun. Because
that's amazing.
At the end of the day, it's about making you guys money, and having a great reputation, having a stellar reputation in the industry, so that you can go, this is why we brought her in. I want to every day have you have a reason to say, this is why we keep you, and this is why we brought you in.
Well, and I think your word speaks for itself. Yeah, exactly. That's.
So going through all of this, and we're skipping way ahead in your career at this point. So all of this, what brings you then to Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions to get you to Death Stranding 2?
It really was. It's simply an audition. I had an audition. I read the sides, and for me, it's never about the voice. I actually coach voiceover because I've been doing it so long, and people say, people's idea is you're getting known for what you do. Would you like to coach or teach? And for me, coaching and teaching is not about telling people what to do. It's about sharing what I do and 100%. Seeing if you glom onto any of the ideas and the concepts and the ways that I work. Because the ways that I work are coming from the inside. Because again, I've worked on the outside already. I know what it's like to collect and consume. And I know what it's like to lose it and then feel like a failure. So for me, the way I work, my foundation, and the way I approach it with everybody else is, who are you from the inside? Let me love you. Let me nurture you. Let me take care of you so that you feel good enough to do what you do in your booth. You feel worthy enough. You feel strong. You feel invigorated. You don't feel like you're lost. You don't feel like you're trapped. You don't feel like this business is not for you. You don't feel like a failure. You feel like, you don't feel like you can't do this. You can't have this. You don't know what you're doing. And all of those things. So a lot of people who teach voiceover, and they teach it well because they're consummate professionals and they have a technique. My technique is simply love. I have 2 rules: love people and show the fuck up.
I love
Love
that.
people
That's
and
amazing.
fuck up. And then all of that other stuff will fall into place. And so all I want to do is share what's happening with me, because I don't want you doing anything that is uncomfortable for you, because I'm here to serve you. It is a service industry. And as far as I'm concerned, voiceover is a service industry. Performance capture is a service industry. Those stories came before me. I do voiceover, but I am a storyteller.
Yeah,
And so the
absolutely.
story is there. No story will ever be greater than your own because you're still living it. So you are going to use and you are going to channel all of those things that you've ever experienced to tell that story, because now you are using you to tell that story, just like our ancestors did around fires, on cave walls, on papyrus, through historical documents and biblical stories, all of the stories of humankind in and of itself. Through history, we are tied to, and that tie is a foundation that cannot be broken because of electricity and because of a Neumann microphone and because of a booth and because of a video game. Because that video game would exist without, people telling stories, and telling stories is an ancestral thing. And so I always invoke people to go back to that desire to tell stories and stop making your voice the most important thing because you want to be famous for it. Tell the story and let people have the story. The story doesn't belong to you. That story doesn't belong to you. So it belongs to everyone who wrote it and everyone who felt it. And they've been putting their emotions in it because of all the frustrations they've gone through in order to go, okay, this has to happen. Okay, that's not happening. The game developers, and things change, and there's a union strike, and there's this and that. So all of those emotions that go into this, or we need to change that, or that's not working anymore. And it's, it's not getting great feedback from the game company, and all of those things you put your emotion in. So I'm doing equally the same when you say, here's this character. And like some actors will say, I become that character. I can't become a flat one-dimensional piece of paper in a script.
Right.
However, I can use my body and my voice and my heart and my emotions and all of my experiences to tell your story, because your story is greater than mine right now. My story will become greater than yours because I'll continue to live it in this flesh and you're on paper. But your story right now is greater than mine because I am using my story, my emotional story, and every journey of experience to help tell your story. And so I have to uplift you above me, which makes you more important than me in this regard. And therefore, my voice is not important. The story is, and my voice will find its way. And so I auditioned for it. But before I auditioned for it, I wanted to know who this person was. And because you only get sides, you don't get a full script. That is a full script. So I never see something as just, well, these sides. No, that's a full script. This is this person's full story. So what's their story before that, Deborah? That's where you fill in with the meat and the crux of your emotions and the space that you want to hold. And what's the story after this moment? That's where you fill it in as well. Because everyone's going to get the same lines. Everyone's going to get the same lines. What's in between those lines is where the power comes in. The individual comes in. That's where the thumbprint comes in. Your two thumbprints aren't even the same. The sides of your face aren't even completely symmetrical. And so therefore, that's where you fit in, becoming the individual and allowing that being to have that space. And so as that being had that space, I'm actually talking to people, because if it's a monologue, it's always a dialogue. And so for me, whether I'm in my booth or whether I'm doing performance capture auditions, I'm having real conversations. I'm having real moments. And in those real moments, I'm doing things. I'm not just standing there talking in front of my iPhone or a stand. I'm actually having experiences. And so as I had those experiences, it's important to give them away, have real experiences, and give them away and have people be able to go, here's my interpretation of the experience. Because if they're interpreting it, they're having an experience.
Right.
And that's the whole point, I believe, of storytelling, is to give it away so that people can have an experience of their own, that the experience no longer belongs to you once it's done. Once it's said and done, it's given to people who go, I want to immerse myself because I see myself, I see my family members, I see experiences that I've had and other experiences that people have had, and all of that, it belongs to everyone. And for me, because that's the foundation, I truly believe that is why the universe is supporting me to work more often, to tell those stories so that people can get an experience of themselves. and that there are lessons in there, and there's growth in there, and there's sorrow and sadness, suffering and celebration in there. There's cathartic moments in there. There's deep breaths. There's deep sighs in there. There's tears in there. There's connection. There's sympathy. There's empathy. There's compassion in there.
Right.
And there is passion in there. And there is escapism in there.
Mm-hmm.
For those that might feel marginalized. And so I'm supposed to bring all of that truth and all of that emotion to it so that I can tell that story. And so everything that I've ever been through has been my gift, not my curse. I have no curses in my life, only gifts. And so I'm supposed to use those dark spaces as my cathartic breathing spaces for everyone who has cathartic breathing spaces and dark spaces as well, and give it away and hope that they see themselves and not hear my voice. And I auditioned. I booked it, and the director does not speak any English.
Mm-hmm.
He had an assistant, and another team member who was Japanese had an assistant. And when I walked in, I wasn't told anything because there was a lack of communication between with the gang,
right,
with them, and to Sony with me, because Sony didn't have anything to tell me. So when I walked in, I didn't have like things memorized.
Yeah.
And all that. So, because normally you do, because the way American games are done, for the most part, and that are shot here in California or just shot in the States or even shot in Europe, there's a shot list of things, and they're all short. They're all short. It's a scene because they're cinematics. So cinematics can't go on forever because it's mostly gameplay. Cinematics are designed to lead to gameplay, to help build the story and to chain link the story together to get into the gameplay. And most time, people are spending more time in the gameplay because that's what the point of a fucking game is. So the cinematics are short. So these cinematics pieces, I was like, oh, okay, got it. Okay, I got it. But that's not how it's shot. These cinematic pieces are shot like their own films.
Okay.
So he'll take two cinematic pieces and say, yeah, but they're together. Or three cinematic pieces and tag them all together, that they segue all together. And that wasn't communicated or translated how they do that. So between the interpretation, me saying something in English and having it interpreted in Japanese and Japanese back to me, and figuring that out, I was like, well, I got to get my shit together. So I know he has a way of working, and he moves very quickly. The director works like painting. He knows what he wants. He's surveying the entire canvas. And he knows not only what he wants to paint, but how he wants to paint. He may go, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to cover that with splashes. Wherever that splash is, now I'm going to use a fine pencil or a fine brush with only 3, hairs on it to outline right there and outline right there. I mean, it's genius and brilliant. The outcome is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he is known for it in Asia and in the United States. People who follow his work. Very well known. He's a prolific director, and I did not know. And so the one thing I begged was to take the time to build that story, because again, I don't want to memorize lines.
Of course.
I will memorize lines in the process, but it was about telling the story. And so his assistant, who did speak English, I would go over that with her, and I would figure out what this story is, because I'm not given the whole thing. And then all of these terms about these and all of that, and having
a lot of proper nouns,
2 right hands, and so it was
as
hard
a lefty. Was that difficult?
About this? Can you tell me why? Because that's way too much. It wasn't built in to automatically know. It was not built in to automatically know. Even if I had watched or the cinematics of Death Stranding, the first one, it's not all built in. And so as these things are happening, and I'm having these experiences with the story, things are starting to get filled in emotionally. And that's where the crux of it is. So even if I didn't know specifically all of these terms, and I would ask simply, okay, what is a BB? What is this? What is that? In its simplicity, it made it easier because at the end of the day, the translation is still going to be emotional because that's the language we all speak, even if we speak no language at all. Emotion is the language of everybody. It's an equal playing field.
I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
And so
crazy.
once I got that language, it made it easier because it wasn't Japanese and it wasn't English anymore.
Right.
Yes, it was in terms of speaking, but as far as telling the story was concerned, he could feel. That's what I wanted at the end of the day, for you to feel that the experience was palpable and real, because it was.
Yeah, true communication, not just words. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
true communication, and it was true storytelling. And so I didn't have to give up myself. I didn't have to give up the storytelling. I didn't have to scramble to memorize stuff, because little by little it came so easily to me because of the emotional beats and how powerful they were. And once you take ownership of those emotional beats because they're yours, that's when you go, you're using my body. I'm channeling this character through me to use my experiences and to use my emotions. And as you're using my emotions, I'm giving you the most honest and raw self, the most transparent, so that you can say these words that are yours. I want to stand below you so that you can have this life, because this life belongs to everyone else. Your life is more important than mine right now. I am just the body and the vessel. And so it came together very easily where I can go, vroom, got it, vroom, got it.
Yeah.
Boom, got it. And we were able to move through the day because I only had one day on this.
Holy shit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's crazy to me.
So what you saw in any of the cinematics and what you will continue to see was one day.
Oh my God.
Jeez. Okay.
That's unheard of. That's wild.
And it
Well,
was
it's a good thing you're a creative
It's not the
lightning
first
rod.
time though. I think it was a volume. It was more voluminous than, say, God of War Ragnarok, in which I played Gryla.
Yeah.
That was it. That was pure raw. And the young lady, I beg your forgiveness, who played Angerboda. That year,
Yes. Yeah.
she won the BAFTA. This was her first video game,
Oh, wow.
and she won the BAFTA for Best Supporting. But that day, I only had one day to shoot. That was an offer. I only had one day to shoot. And so I had been sitting with it for a long time. I had been sitting with the story and sitting with the frustration and sitting with the anger and sitting with the love and sitting with all of these moods and emotions. And I got up and I was feeling it. I showered, I feeling it. And when I get there, I know what's going to happen. I told the director, I don't want to meet her. I don't want to meet her. Do not introduce. I do not want to do, normally with PCAP or anything else like that, you're going to have auditions. I mean, not auditions, you're going to have blocking.
Yeah, of course.
So the camera's for technical stuff. I said, you can block with her. I'm not blocking with her.
Got it.
I'm going to block separate. We never met until after. We never talked to each other as performers until after. And so because of her being new to this, I needed to feed her while I'm being fed. And so when we were about to shoot, I would walk up to her and just look at her and then walk back into position. First time it was a little disconcerting for her. It's like,
yeah. It would be for me. Yeah.
Literally, it's like, okay, in 3, 2, I'd stop. I walk up to her and just look at her. And it was disconcerting for her. The second time we did that, she met my gaze. The third time she did that, she broke me down. Because she realized that she wasn't looking at the performer, she was looking at her grandmother. And once she got that, we'd never spoken. And once she got that, when we were shooting, it was never, I met Debra Wilson and we're working on this. It was grandmother the entire time. She didn't know me. She only knew grandmother. So when she saw it in my eyes the first time, then she saw it in my eyes the second time, she felt the story. She felt my pain. By the third time, I could see the sympathy and compassion in her eyes, and it broke me. Yeah. And that's great, because when it broke me, it made me angrier because I didn't want to love her. Yeah. Because it was too painful. And so it was powerful to have her carry that the entire time, and painful and heavy for me to have to carry that. Yeah. That the entire time. And by the last moment, I think we only shot that 3 times. And the last scene, which they break my pot where I'm storing all of these souls and, you know, to release my own memories. It broke me, that last one, because it's holding and holding and holding. And keep in mind, I've been holding it since like 7 a.m. Yeah. Before I left my apartment.
Right.
I've been holding it while I'm preparing to leave, and I'm holding it, and I've been holding it with her. And
the emotion, not your bladder, though.
Yeah,
right.
And I broke me finally at the very end. So when you hear me scream, you know, I should have thrown you to the wolves the moment I pulled you out of your mother, you know, and telling her how Loki, you know, would not recognize her and all of these things. And that was the last one, and it was cut. I was already on the ground, and I collapsed and was screaming my head off, crying my head off. And they gave me that moment, and I released it all. And it was like, woo! I felt like Nicolas Cage. Like, yeah, I did it.
Like skydiving.
I had that Nicolas Cage moment, you know? And it was great. And then I finally met her after that. But she overstood what I was doing to help build her truth and build that relationship, as opposed to people having these breaks. And then, because even in breaks, I wouldn't look at her. In breaks, I would turn away. As soon as we cut, I turned away, walk away. Never look at her. Never.
Debra, I just have to say that, and I truly mean this. I am not like blowing smoke. You might be the most like dedicated, nurturing, and like loving of your craft anyone that I've ever met. And I guess not just the craft, but like you were saying, the story. Like, I don't know, you're just like, you're hitting me. Like, I don't know, I just didn't expect to like feel this type of emotion during a fucking interview. And so I don't know, I just wanted to say thank you.
But that's what we do. I mean, that's our purpose. That's my purpose. Thank you for saying that. That's humbling. And thank you for experiencing that vibration, because we're all here to have these different vibrations and different frequencies that all harmonize in something together. You know, there is a beautiful harmony to everything until there is a discord, when people will not want that. They're too afraid. And that's where the hate and the jealousy, the fear, the anger, the prejudice, the racism, that's where it all comes from. I'm too afraid to connect, because it takes too great a responsibility to have your emotions step into your shoes and be a different person. I came to the 3 dimensions to have the 6 dimensions. I just want to eat, sleep, shit, fuck, consume, and destroy. And I don't connect. I don't want to connect, or I have been raised not to connect, and I'm here to consume the world, not be a part of creating a harvest for the world. And so it's very challenging, but it doesn't stop us from that space that we hold for ourselves in the most authentic space, because we're here to grow ourselves and better know ourselves. And when we are our most authentic selves, it allows certain people like you to say, thank you, as I live my most authentic self. Thank you for allowing me to connect to myself. Not thank you for allowing me to connect to you, but thank you for allowing me to have an experience of me, to know that I am beautiful, to know that I am wonderful, to know that I am loved, to know that I have creative space in this world, to know that I am important in this world, to know that I have purpose in this world, to know that I belong in this world. And it's powerful to know that about yourself. So thank you for connecting, and thank you for loving yourself enough to connect. It's a vulnerable space, and I appreciate that sacred space of vulnerability that you're sharing with me. Thank you.
Yeah. I think for me as well, and maybe subconsciously, I think whenever I see that you're in something, it is exciting to me. Whether like I think back to like Grace and Wolfenstein or Sarah in Star Wars, or like now, Greiler, all these other performances, I think it comes across so powerfully and palpably the way that you put yourself into it to allow that to happen. And I don't know that I thought about the why behind it until now, but I think there is a buzz within me that stirs when I see that Debra Wilson is in something that I know I'm going to enjoy because of how you approach things. So I will also second what Alessio said there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. It's I have been gifted a great responsibility. Because I don't really have a career. I just have opportunities that people say, come, we trust you. We want to trust you to tell this story. And I have a dog, I forgot to tell you.
We love it. We love it.
Little and loud. But there she is.
Oh, cute dog.
Oh, amazing. Oh, goodness.
Oh.
From the door and eventually back to
And she's gone.
Hey, Lucy, come here. Come here.
Lucy.
Lucy. Yeah, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. I'm not mad at you. Come here. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you. You just want to say hi.
Oh my goodness.
That is a gorgeous
Oh,
pup.
Lucy.
Lucy. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, Lucy. There you go. She's looking at that dog. Look, see?
I see her ready to bark.
Gotta get him. Gotta get him.
Get him. Get him.
She heard your earlier bark. What?
Oh, and the big yawn too.
This was not on my bingo card. Deborah, it's been something else. This has been really, really cool. And I'm going to be honest with you, like knowing some of our listeners and stuff, I really think that your message is going to really touch some folks. And it's been, I don't know, it's just been really, really great talking to you. And
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
I never go in with the idea that I'm going to make a difference, because it's not about me making a difference. It's about me living a truth. And so that vibration will go out into the world. And for those that are going to go, I that strikes a chord,
Right.
literally and figuratively with me. That's a powerful thing. So it's about putting out a vibration with no expectation.
I love that. I'm going to carry that with me. I swear to God, for the rest of my life.
100%.
Like,
100%. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. So Deborah, I mean, I don't know. I have nothing else to say. I just want to say thank you. Thank you on behalf of the show, on behalf of our listeners.
My pleasure. My blessing.
Just a buck.